Hi, and thank you for taking the time to have a look at the Genius training programs here at Intermetrics. I'm Alan Miller, Managing Director of Intermetrics International, and in conjunction with Jay Niblick, CEO of Intermetrics Incorporated, we've designed these training programs we call the Big Six. 6 programs we are asked for by clients all over the world that make a real difference to the people and organizations. Leadership, management, teams, communication, selling, customer service. We want to share these programs with you to show just how personalised these really are. And one major difference with these programs, they've been designed with 3 distinctive tools we have at Intermetrics, covering a person's behaviour, what drives and motivates them and how they think and make decisions. Each program has these world-class tools embedded in the training, so every single person who attends the training will have their own personal outcomes with action plans that can apply within their organisations. We are super excited at the responses we've had so far, and we'd love your feedback as part of our journey to making a difference and adding real value. I'd like to hand you over to Jay Niblick, who will take you through a selection of slides and give you a flavour of each of the programs. Hey Jay, over to you.
Thanks, Alan. Let's dive in, everybody. In the Intermetrics Developing Genius Leaders program, you're going to learn what the core of an effective leader is based on best practices studied from businesses around the world. One of the first objectives we're going to have is to help you as a leader understand your specific leadership strengths and weaknesses, understanding the key behaviors that you bring as a leader that will lead to success, what motivates you as a leader. Talk about how to shape your vision, some of the key aspects of being an effective leader, a genius leader, how to communicate that vision through understanding your team, making sure that you can appreciate what it's like to walk in the shoes of your team, and be a servant leader. So we'll expand and break all of these things out in the program. And the course objectives by the end of this program, number 1, will be to reflect on your own leadership strengths, identify the opportunities for you to apply new practices that can enhance your effectiveness. Number 2, explore a range of leadership principles and practices that can assist you to harness your own and your team's potential. And lastly, formulate an action plan with clearly defined steps that will allow you to translate what you've learned into actual daily activities. So we'll talk about what makes a genius leader in the first place. We'll take best practices from some of the best leaders in the world, Jack Welch, for example, and understand what we learned in a 7-year 197,000 person study examining people in leadership in business across 23 countries. What we learned by looking at that was there's a what, a why, and a how to how you think. And these have direct implications, each of these, what talents you have based on how you think and make decisions, why you're motivated to use those talents, and how you prefer to behaviorally use those, have a direct impact on your ability as a leader. So we'll break these out and be looking at the behavioral style that you have as a leader. There's a decisive aspect to yourself. There's an interactive aspect. There's the ability to be a stabilizer or not. And how cautious or conscientious are you? And every leader has a specific score in every one of these 4 columns. It's where on these 4 do you fall? What's the spectrum that's right for you? Millions of possible permutations. And it's about understanding your behavioral style and how you maximize that for the best results, including all 4. Because high D tendencies sometimes tend to be a little unrealistic in their ego and expectations of others. They tend to be very daring and demanding and accepting of risk, sometimes too much. They fear loss of control, and they prefer direct answers. High I leaders, however, they like interacting with other people. They like being unique. They like taking different directions, but sometimes without much planning, and they can find themselves turning left and ending up in trouble. So they fear loss of approval, and they're really motivated by interacting and connecting with others. We'll find some high S tendency leaders in the organization. Their biggest fear is to lose control. They like the security, they like processes, they like order. And they really prefer taking very standardized, traditional approaches to how things are done. All of these can be great leaders. It depends on the organization, it depends on the team they lead, and it depends on their understanding and how they apply it. So lastly, for example, high C leaders tend to really want a lot of control and harmony and order and process, and they like a right way to proceed. Very accurate, very attention detail oriented people. So the key is about figuring out which of these behavioral styles is dominant in you as the leader. There is no one preferred style. It's about understanding. The right answer is about understanding what your style is and leveraging that for success, whether that's a D, an I, an S, or a C. In the Genius Leadership Program, we'll also explore motivations, the why aspect. And there are 7 different core motivations based on 80 years of research into understanding passions, motivations, and engagement. And for the leader, it's important not only to understand what drives you, but also what drives your team, because there may be a difference there. And if you don't understand that, you can get into trouble. You may be leading people who are highly aesthetically motivated, and they're all about harmony and work-life balance, and they don't want to work 80-hour weeks. Or not. You might be working with someone who's an economically motivated person. They want practical results. They want to see instant results. They want instant gratification. They're interested in what's going to give the greatest return on their investment of time. Individualistic motivated people, well, you may have them on your team. You have to understand they like freedom. They like independence. They like the autonomy to do their own thing. An MBO approach, a management by objective, much more effective with somebody like this if you're leading them. Starting to see, for example, how different individuals may fall into different categories, and it's important to understand how to personally motivate each one. You may have high politicals on the team. You yourself as the leader might be one. Understanding this allows you to understand who's motivated on your team to help lead, to take a leadership role, to have some authority and responsibility. May have an altruistic on your team, and they're all about caring and giving to others and service. Very different approach to motivating and getting them fully engaged. And different still from somebody who falls into the regulatory category where they really want to show up, and what motivates them is to have a set of policies and rules, and they shoot for perfection on completing those and complying with such rules. They like borders, they like staying in them, and they need you as the leader to, 1, show them what those guides and rules and borders and processes are, and 2, reward them for staying inside them and finishing those instructions perfectly. And lastly, you may have somebody on the team who's a high theoretical. Understanding this is important because these people lose motivation faster than any other category. If they're not constantly challenged to learn, if they're not constantly pushed into new areas, new thinking, new ways of exploring and understanding things, their engagement drops through the floor relatively quickly, and they'll end up either quitting or quitting and not telling you, which is worse of all. And lastly, we'll understand 7 great components of leadership, or of great leadership. So there's envisioning an outcome, communicating a vision, understanding yourself and others, service leadership, again, servant leadership, serving others, inspiring others, guiding others, and lastly, most important part of leadership, developing yourself. You have to come first. So we'll explore and expand on each one of these, and we'll talk about strategic definitions and communicating visions, how to understand your supporters, 5 different components underneath most of these, including serving others, a little bit deeper into servant leadership models, how to inspire others and the key talents that come along with that, and the guiding others and everything that goes with that. For example, you need to have flexibility. You need self-direction because they are following you, personal accountability and instilling that in the team, something that can be done, being persistent, having self-control, practical thinking, and goal-focused. One of the last things we'll do in the program is walk through how to develop the team, the most effective way. As a leader, your objectives, we feel, should be to develop the team to where they surpass you. So it's about recruiting and inducting, then integrating, promoting, and retaining. And we'll explore each one of those areas.